I'm Canadian, and, I'm going to stand up for what's best for Canada, not for Trump's ideas.
We need to put the right people who can answer those questions into power and in the right positions, not just as prime minister, but as like every role, housing minister, etc. We need the correct people in those positions to fix these problems for the average citizen.
It's strategic for the Liberals too. I mean, they're about to go into an election anyway in the fall. So for him to step down now.
I am sick of seeing Uber drivers with degrees. And it's like, my man, you could be working in healthcare, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, and we got you driving a fucking Uber. I don't have much faith in him. I don't have much faith in any of the parties. I don't think any of the major parties.
Do you think that Pierre Poilievre is the right person to step in there? All right, lads, today we're in Dundas, Ontario. This is a little small town. Shout out to this one person, I forget their name, but I see in the comments, someone was like, yo, Dimani, you should go to a little small town called Dundas. Go talk to the locals there and hear their opinion with the way the economy has changed, etc., etc. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be shooting another little political video. We're going to be going around as usual, talking to the locals, hearing their opinion with the way the economy has changed, and who do they think is going to win this upcoming election in 2025. And on top of that, we're going to find out what's it like living in Dundas, basically. Okay, so Miles, what's it like living in Dundas?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm 21, so like I just live with my parents, so I was born and raised here. But yeah, like I just live in Hamilton. It's good. Most people, it is pretty tough to afford living in the area. Like I know a lot of people here, like will live with other people, other roommates.
Okay.
I'm younger. I haven't like moved out of my home yet, but I'd probably be with roommates too. Like it's tough. The cost of living is very high in Dundas. That's partially why most people live in Hamilton.
Okay.
Most houses here are very expensive, like over $1 million. The average house here is over $1 million Canadian dollars. Like they're very expensive. And there's a lot of really, really wealthy people in this community. So yeah, if you want to like live in this area and you're not very like rich, you're probably going to want to live in Hamilton. Because yeah, it's definitely way cheaper to live there. So most people just commute here. It's not that far. It's like 15 kilometers to Hamilton. But yeah.
So would you say that this is a town with love in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. We have like Dundas is great. They have the Dundas BIA. The BIA is the basically the kind of it's like an HOA, but for businesses, where like they kind of run events for the businesses. So we'll have like sales, or like there's nights we'll stay open late or something like that. And they're great. They have like Santa Claus comes in, they do trick or treating like on Halloween, and all the businesses like we give out candy and stuff, and they'll have like stuff where the kids come in their costumes. So yeah, like I mean, Dundas is great. They have organizations like that with the businesses. We do stuff together, to make the community like have fun. Dundas has like Cactus Fest, which is a big festival. They shut down the whole street in the summer. People come. There's like food and everything. Musicians. So yeah, like for sure they run events. It's not like a ghost town around here. There's definitely people who come out and they like the community. Lots of good trails, lots of good hiking. Hamilton is the waterfall capital of Ontario, or even Canada. There's hundreds of waterfalls in Hamilton. So lots of great hiking, lots of great exploring.
I was saying, I don't know how people live up here. Okay. Because we just went to the mall, and $260 for a pair of, say, shoes that I can get down the States for $50. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So your present stepped down prime minister.
Oh, sorry, let's move. Yeah, sorry. By the way, guys, she's American. I forgot to tell you guys that.
Yes, I'm from Arizona.
What's it like?
I keep up with Canadian politics.
Coming from an American, what do you think about our prime minister?
Can I say?
Literally anything. I'm not looking for a good answer, bad answer. Literally.
Don't regret it.
Don't regret it? Okay. You don't want to hear what I really think about him, but I'm glad that he's...
Trust me, they want to hear it. I'm telling you right now, they want to hear it.
That he's a douchebag?
Oh, see,
is that what he wants to hear?
Oh, that's nothing. I've heard worse. Okay. I've heard worse.
All right. No, good. I think that Trump is going to do what Trump does, and he is going to have Greenland, and he's going to have Canadian, and we're going to free this country.
You think that Canada is going to become the 51st state?
Absolutely. I do.
And how do you think Trump is actually going to take this? Because the majority of Canadians, okay, don't get me wrong, from what I'm seeing, there's some Canadians that are supporting it, and the other side, they're not.
That's right. I know that. But I don't think it matters whether they're supporting it or not, because I honestly think it's all behind the scenes of what they're doing anyways. So it's possible that it's the move to the one world order. That's a possibility. But I think Greenland, the Panama Canal, and we're all going to be one big country. and free you all from your slavery here.
Hypothetically speaking, if Canada were to become the 51st state, do you think that we would start seeing some positive effects in our country or negative effects?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Positive. I do.
Think so?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Positive effects.
All right.
Yep.
And guys, she's Canadian, and then basically she was saying that off camera before, and she's basically not against it. And I want to hear your side. Why do you think that Canada shouldn't become the 51st state?
We're a nation. We're a sovereign nation. If you asked people around the world, and I've lived all over the world, where they want to live, Canada's up in the top. It's in the top 90%, you know, of where people want to live. We are a free nation. And I don't think Canadians are going to stand for that. I think that Trump is using his tactic of sort of bringing out threats just because he's going to start negotiating tariffs with us. And that's got to happen. But, you know, if our next prime minister, which I'm anticipating will likely be Polyev, I know he's not going to stand for it. I know the NDP leader doesn't stand for it. And I doubt actually very much that whoever is going to be the party leader of the Liberals is going to stand for it either. Canadians in general it's like we have no interest. And I find it to be actually quite an arrogant nationalism that from the US that says, oh, we're going to own you because we're like the heroes of the world.
It's not about owning.
We're sisters, by the way.
We're sisters,
I
and
see
we
it. I see it.
completely disagree about just about everything, but it's not about owning. You think you're free, you're not.
Now back to you real quick. I want to add something to that. Do you think that Donald Trump is actually trying to change this country, or there's that one thing that he actually wants and we don't know about, if that makes sense? You know what I mean?
I don't know Trump's agenda.
Okay.
That's all speculating. I do know that, you know, he's a powerful man, and I know that he's not afraid. And he has certain tendencies that are intimidating, and he tries to use that for his benefit, and it's probably gotten him a lot of places in the world. Now, he's a smart man. There are probably some great things that he's going to do for his country. On the other hand, I'm Canadian, and, you know, I'm going to stand up for what's best for Canada, not for Trump's ideas. Makes sense? Like, I'm for Canada and for keeping Canada the country it is.
What's your take with the way things are going in this country?
My takeaway would be that we're in a cost of living crisis. Solving that is incredibly difficult. I go to Mohawk College. I know a lot of people, international students especially, who are struggling, who feel like they were misled when they came to Canada, and they don't feel like they don't know what they're going to do when they graduate, because a lot of Canadians don't even know what they're going to do when they graduate. I think it speaks largely to a failure of our immigration system. My family came as immigrants. I wish the same for the new immigrants is the same as the old immigrants, and I don't think they're getting the same experience.
And what do you think, like, what's the experience they're getting? Like, if you don't mind me asking, would you say they're being treated awfully?
It depends. I mean, awfully by who? By the government, I wouldn't say they're being treated awfully. By individual people, I would say there's absolutely discrimination against new Canadians. It's a very complex issue. I think that you got a lot of kids across the sea who wanted to come to Canada for a better life. They came here and they are not getting that better life.
I don't know if you've seen recently, but it was last year, Justin Trudeau said that he was going to slow down on the immigration system. And on top of that, they were saying that a lot of international students use the excuse of coming to this country and eventually like staying among us, and they don't go back home basically.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. If I was in their shoes, I would do exactly the same thing as them. I think the biggest problem is there's a lot of people who have been promised a lot, and they come here and they realize the promise is empty. I think there's also a failure. Trudeau wanted to, bring in quite more people than we historically have, which is fine as long as we have the resources to accommodate those people. When my family came in the early 1900s, when my family came in the late 1900s, we had a reasonably good experience. Nowadays, it seems a little bit iffy on how people are going to feel about you and what your opportunities are going to be. I am sick of seeing Uber drivers with degrees. And it's like, my man, you could be working in healthcare, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, and we got you driving a fucking Uber. Like,
what's up, guys? I'm Wayne, behind the scenes. How's it doing, miss?
I don't know what you're interviewing, but I'm leaving.
You don't want to be interviewed?
What's it for?
Oh, we're just going around, talk to the locals, hearing their opinion of the way the economy has changed, and who do they think is going to win this upcoming election?
The last thing I want to do is talk about politics today.
It's more of a conversation, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Thank you.
Okay.
No worries.
Good luck.
Yeah,
All right, thank you. She's cute. Yeah, but ladies, women, hit me up.
Yeah, I would honestly say the biggest problem with the country is the affordability of everything. Yeah, so making sure that stuff is affordable for the younger generation, making sure people have, a chance to buy a home, very important. It's a pretty controversial topic right now with, like, you can say what you want about politics and et cetera, but there's definitely a big movement to make, living more affordable here.
Okay.
So it's most definitely the biggest problem with this country, and it's more than just housing. It's like, groceries, gas, whatever you want to put it on. That's for sure the biggest problem. So again, as long as that's fixed and things can become more affordable, there's a good chance that a lot of the problems can just kind of waterfall and get solved from that kind of starting point.
Yeah.
There's a great video, and this is not completely unpolitical, but there's a great video by Pierre Poilievre, who's going to be running for prime minister soon.
Conservative.
And exactly, and he just has a video where he just goes around to the Niagara community by Niagara Falls, which is a really good example of, you can do this right now. You can just go look this up. But if you look at housing prices on the Boston side of the border and the Niagara side, like on the Ontario side, the houses in the exact same neighborhood, they're more expensive on the Canadian side. So there's an obvious problem with the housing here. There's just not enough supply. There's not enough supply for the demand that we have. And people need houses, and there's not enough houses. So it's very simple: build more homes and make it more affordable. So that's the biggest problem, I'd say. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And what do you think has caused for things to kind of rise in this country, with housing? We also see that, in today's society, there's over 2 million plus Canadians are going to food banks.
Biggest cause, honestly, I think there's some misuse of, like, tax dollars for sure. Like, you can say that. There's some misuse of government spending. There's certain policies that make it tough on people who are investing or trading. We have really high tax here, which is tough if you're trying to build wealth, trying to build a home. Build wealth to buy a home. Sorry, you're gonna get taxed a lot. That's tough. But the root cause is hard to pinpoint. I'm not an expert on the subject, so I can't say for sure.
No, I like you're saying though. I like you're saying.
But yeah, there's a lot of things with this economy that need to be fixed. The minimum wage, stuff like that. Like, that's a big problem. A lot of communities, like, if you make a minimum wage in a community like this, for example, like, you're just not going to be able to afford to live here. Statistically, it's not possible. So you could pin that on a lot of stuff, but a lot of things need to change. So it's a very tough subject. Yeah, again, I'm not an expert, so I probably couldn't pinpoint like one thing, like, we need to change this today, but there are people, we need to put the right people who can answer those questions into power and in the right positions, not just as prime minister, but as, like, every role, housing minister, et cetera. We need the correct people in those positions to fix these problems for the average citizen. Shouldn't be the average citizen's job to figure out, how many jobs they need to afford their rents. You should need 4 jobs, 3 jobs, 2 jobs. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
So yeah, it shouldn't be their job to figure out, how many jobs they need or, how to pay their rent. It should be like, hey, we're the government. We need to figure out how someone can have one job working full time and pay rent. That's their job to figure out, like, how that should work so everyone can afford a home and afford rent. So yeah.
Do you think that if we were to become the 51st state, we would lose our identity, basically?
Oh, absolutely.
Our culture and all that?
Well, it's going to be influenced, definitely. I mean, what's our culture? Our culture is multinational. We are a very unique country in the world, and but we also have a certain mindset in general, I would say, that is very different than the U.S. As a matter of fact, if you go across the provinces, the mindset is slightly different from place to place. So, but, you know, how much you retain that when you're absorbed by another nation or absorbed by another culture, eventually it erodes things. It takes on a new identity.
How different, though, really is the United States from the Canadian culture? Seriously, how different?
Well, that's like asking, let's say, an Arab if they're Persian. They're very different.
They're not.
Or an Asian.
We're multicultural, just like Canada is.
Yeah, but there's different culture within the culture. So we are different. I go down to the States and I feel it. Yeah, I feel it. Very different. You know, I think when it comes to nationalism, there's two kinds of nationalism. And there's the one kind that says, I love my neighbor. And that's why I'm for my country, is because I want to love my neighbor. And there's the other kind that says, like, I'm better.
Is your neighbor.
Yes. And actually, you should remember that Canada is a friend of the States. That's an important thing to remember, and for Trump to remember, is that Canada is a friend of the States and has been for many, many years. And this kind of tactic, it doesn't help relations any, but, you know, I hope he kind of backs down a little bit. I know he's going to negotiate, and that's what needs to happen, but we have as much to offer him as he may have to offer us. That's why we've gotten along for all these years.
Yeah, I like that. Would you say some international students like abuse the system or use as a cheat code?
Yes, I would. I used to go to Mohawk College. There is a small number of students who take advantage of the system and give a bad name to others. That's not to discount our immigration approach. It's just, frankly, I've seen more egregious things in Mohawk College than I have seen in high school, with very little or no punishment.
How do you feel about the true international students trying to get into the country for their studies, but can't, since their images has been ruined by others who abused the system?
I think they're a victim of the system. I can understand why Canadians are upset. They need to realize it's not those persons' fault. They are trying to make a better life for their family, like anyone else would try to make a better life for their family. I just wish that the Liberal federal government did a better job, and I wish the provincial Conservative government did a better job of giving these people opportunities outside of being Ubers.
So who do you think is really going to step in there?
Well, he said he's resigning based on the fact that until a new Liberal Party member is chosen, so a new leader is elected. And I think there's a few people that have set themselves. I've heard one theory. I'm not sure whether I agree with it or not. That Christina Freeland stepped down in the nick of time because it kind of gave her some distance to Trudeau and set herself up well for a position as a party leader. So, you know, that's one way of looking at it for sure. It would be a smart move on her part. But I don't know who's going to be the next leader. I have no idea.
Do you think Trudeau stepped down because of his meeting with Trump a couple weeks ago? I'm just asking you. Do you think that his stepping down had anything to do with his meeting with Trump?
That's a good question. Do you think it was maybe pressure that he stepped down?
No, I don't think so. No, his own party and Canadians have been, you know, at him for a long time, and it's just finally it's strategic for the Liberals too. I mean, they're about to go into an election anyway in the fall, so for him to step down now gives them a chance to get a new party leader and to maybe remake the Liberal Party a little bit so that they're in a better standing, maybe with Canadians who are waffling, those who might stick with the Liberals now if they get a better leader. So it's, again, a strategic move, I think.
Would you say that the Liberals are fighting each other right now?
I'm imagining that there's people balking. I mean, some of his own party has been speaking up against Trudeau, but whether they stick with a party or not, that's I don't have a lot of opinions about the Liberals, but I'm observing what I'm hearing and seeing.
There's a saying that Pierre Poilievre says: "It's axe to tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime." What's your take on that? Because it seems like a lot of Canadians are leaning towards on what he's saying, especially on cutting the carbon tax and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he has the popular vote. If you look, he's obviously like the popular vote for the country right now. So we'll see what the other parties are looking like coming into the election season, which is here pretty much. But I mean, he's saying the correct things. Like, these are all problems. He's not making things up, right? You have policies that need to be put into place to make the country more affordable. So, if he's going to say, hey, axe a tax, you're going to pay less tax, well, of course he's going to get the vote. And there are for sure, again, taxes and tax money that is wasted.
Okay.
There is for sure wasted tax money. So stuff like that, yeah, 100% agree that there are certain taxes that need to be cut, but also there are taxes that do need to stay. So axing every tax obviously is not the solution. Again, we need to have a good healthcare system that requires money to be put into it. Sure. Healthcare professionals need to be paid well. We don't want to have privatization of that industry. So stuff like that needs to be well taken care of, and enough tax money needs to be allocated to that. Same thing with the education system being paid by the government. If you're a high school teacher, you should be compensated for that. That's important as well. So having tax money set aside for those things is definitely very important. But there are other things you could argue, maybe not quite as important, and don't need as much focus. And I think that's a huge problem. I think there's, a lot of stuff. I don't think I know. You can look into it, of course, but there's a lot of stuff that in years of past the Liberal government has spent money on that maybe wasn't quite as important, or have spent too much money on that wasn't really needed, and they've wasted tax dollars, and a lot of people aren't happy about that. Yes. So of course, if you're probably going to say, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spend tax money on stuff that's important, and cut down those excess kind of projects that we don't really need right now, then of course he's going to get the popular vote. So I think that stuff like that is definitely, anyone saying that is going to get the popular vote. We'll see again, like what candidate we have on other parties and what they were going to say. For sure. But yeah, absolutely. Definitely a lot of good policies that I would agree with. Yeah.
Awesome. Would you say that your vote is going towards the Conservative, Pierre Poilievre?
We'll have to see. As of right now, I don't know. Every party hasn't really put up a candidate yet. As we say, Justin Trudeau just resigned, so we'll see what kind of happens there. But come election time, I'll do my research and make an educated vote on who I think will be the best Prime Minister leading forward for the country. But I can't say now. I'm not going to say like right now, for sure it's Pierre Poilievre. I mean, do I think he'll win? Yeah, based off the popularity of his, for sure. The polls say he's going to win. So do I think he's going to win? Yeah. Am I going to vote for him? We'll see, I guess, when election week comes. Maybe, yeah.
With everything you just said, my friend, who do you think is the right person to step in office and make a change with this upcoming election?
None of them. Pierre Poilievre is a different kind of grifter. I have voted Conservative once in my life. I voted once in the leadership race to vote against Poilievre. I'm not saying I will never vote Conservative, but I have no interest in it at the moment, given their current policies. They are taking some problems and trading them for a different set of problems, and I am very afraid that our country will accept anything as change, even though it's not really change.
Is there anyone that you're leaning towards a bit, or a certain party?
I'm most likely gonna scratch my ballot, toss it in, just as a protest vote. I have not looked at the candidates that are around here yet. This is not my riding. I'm up in Greensville, so West Flamborough, different riding. Dan Muse has consistently had one of, if not the largest expenditures on staff, which is not very impressive. When you're talking about a new, you get your new MP, and your new MP is hitting the top of the scales for how much they're spending. I didn't agree with most of his policies in the first place, but that I I don't have much faith in him. I don't have much faith in any of the parties. I don't think any of the major parties really represent my point of view.
Do you think that Pierre Poilievre is the right person to step in there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say your vote is going towards him?
Well, that's nobody's business, but at the same time, Poilievre is very intelligent. He's very well spoken. He's a strong leader. He has some really good ideas. Whether, he can put those ideas out there, and whether he still has to push through a lot of red tape to even have those implemented. But I think he could be a very strong leader for Canada. Absolutely.
Well said. And before I let you go again, what's one message you got for any Canadians watching out there?
Don't give up on Canada. I mean, I have hope that things can get better. It's been a hard number of years for a lot of Canadians, but I am hopeful that things are going to turn around, and that at the heart of it, Canada's still got a lot of good people, a lot of good leaders, a lot of potential. And I think we can't just lay down and give up. So,
Sure.
yeah.
What about, coming from an American, what do you want to say to the Canadians?
Well, they've always been our buddies.
Okay.
They've always been our friends. So I think uniting, I mean, we're going to unite.
You're unite, huh?
We are going to unite.
That's it?
You watch it. Yep. No, that's
All right, well said. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it. If you guys want to check it out, it's called Dimani. You can really write this. That was
What's
really
your name?
Dimani.
Dimani?
Yeah, just like the hat.
And can I find you on Instagram?
Yeah,
for that?
Instagram, YouTube. I'm mainly on YouTube though.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna look you up. I'm glad you're doing shit like this.
Yeah,
For real. For real.
Yeah. I like it because I get to be me. I'm not getting paid to follow no script or anything, and it's just to create an eye opening for Canadians.
Do you know who Kayvon is?
Kayvon, no.
Okay.
I know Gavin. A guy named Gavin though.
No. Just similar stuff, but like putting the mic in the face more for big name people.
Okay.
Just a student of my dad's.
Oh, okay.
So like, I fucking love this. Love this.
Thank you.
You are doing very important shit right now.
Thank you, my friend.
So let me write down.
To anyone watching this, make sure you follow me on my socials. They'll be right here. Follow that right now. As you're saying?
Just let me get your social.
Yep.
So I can follow you, because I think you're asking very important questions.
Thank you, my friend.
I don't know what your answers are. I don't really care. You're asking the right questions.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Okay.
Just like I said, I'm not looking for no good answers. Literally just your opinion. And what you said, that may have been an eye-opening for anyone watching this, and to probably educated someone.
I really hope so. Really hope so. It's a beautiful country with a lot of beautiful qualities. I just think that we need to do a little bit better, not just for the people who already live here, but for the people who are coming here as well. We need to do a better job for everyone.